Okay, so today here we kind of a little bit on the celebrating, sad, happy. We got a little bit of mixed feelings, and we're gonna take this moment to talk about this moment. It's about Michael. Michael is living. He's going back to Buffalo, and we're sad to see him, but happy at the same time. And we gotta talk about the journey of being here in California, but also working here at Power Pro, and we wanna just kind of talk about it, right? So obviously we wanted first to say thank you for spending time here at with the Power Pro family, and definitely want to talk about it. What was life for you, and definitely want to take this time to say thank you again. Thank you for working for Power Pro a few years there, and we definitely we were happy to see you here, and I'm happy for you that you also going home, but also sad at the same time, and we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, all right. I feel the same way. I'm happy to go home, but also sad to leave what I've built here. Friends and relationships that I have had here. It's definitely sad to leave that, but I am excited to go home and be with my friends and family, and all those relationships that I built for 30 years prior.
All right. So also here we have Sergio and Carlos. They're gonna be part of the team here, and we're gonna share some moments, and hopefully we don't cry here. Because why not? Right? Let's get it. But right. So we'll start with, let's go back to Sergio. Sergio, you basically, Sergio, you want to go ahead and...
Yes, I'm Sergio. 4 years ago, I met Mike. I actually made a phone call to hire an applicant. Mike showed up and we had a conversation. From the beginning, like I said before, I noticed his listening skills, his communication skills, and most important, his leadership skills, which is part of what, Power Pro Plumbing is about. That's the type of culture we want to have, and that's the type of culture we want to continue with. And here we are now, 4 years later. This is a good thing. We would like, to hear from you, what is it that we did good, and what is it that we need to improve on for our employees as well as our customers. That said, it's sad to see you go, but we also want to congratulate you for your new journey and going back home to your family and your friends.
Thank you. So before we go to Carlos here, obviously we're gonna talk about here. We have a service story, and service story, great people willing to go the extra mile, who genuinely cares to provide great service. That's the service story. And when we describe the culture of Power Pro, the story of Power Pro, and basically we kind of describing Michael along those lines. And it's nice to see that, having an employee like Michael come in here and experience that. Hopefully we share some of those moments, but also our jingle, we have a song also that talks about it, and we have a little saying, great people, great service, great attitude, every time, all the time. So when we talk about that, the culture of Power Pro, we'll probably describe Michael. And that, to me, that's what I really want to, how do we see that working, from Power Pro perspective, but from Michael perspective, now they finding people that fits our culture, fits the dynamic of Power Pro, and be able to, communicate that as whether it's just share with somebody maybe wants to think about coming joining Power Pro, or what's Power Pro being like, but things like that. So that's what today I want to really focus on, that connection, but also that having the same views, the same maybe environment, culture, and that along the way. And but Carlos, what do you bring here? We can talk about Michael here.
Well, I do remember Michael when he joined us and what a Hollywood story was, right? You remember, we didn't hire him on as a manager. Remember that? He came in as an installer, and the way things happened to pause, he joined us for our big project, was a Hollywood project. It was a multi-million-dollar mansion. How long was the project?
Months.
It was months.
3 months, 2-3 months.
Yeah, so it was a big project, very Hollywood. So welcome to Hollywood.
Yeah, I thought it was a crash course. It was a crash course.
So it was kind of like, okay, great. We got this guy coming in from Buffalo, and obviously we're all very friendly. So no matter what, from day one, we're always friendly, welcoming. But just wanted to see, okay, what he brought to the table, and immediately it was evident that he was going to contribute to the team. At the time, there was a different manager, and most of my communication was with them. But I did talk to Tina, as I always do, to try to kind of get a feel, obviously. And Michael was always very comfortable communicating with us. Always very straightforward, and shared some of his experience. But it was definitely a start to remember because of the project, right? It was like, hey, you got this guy coming from Buffalo, and so I'm sure you got a lot of fun poked at it, like, oh, you want to Hollywood?
Yeah.
And he ends up in Beverly Hills. $1 mansion, first job. Hey, it's reality, right? But that's part of the system, part of the business, right? But no, he contributed well. It was a very successful project, and from there we built. But yeah, he started here as an installer and kind of grew his way there. And then when the opportunity came, had the chance and took advantage of the transition to a management team. So once we get back to that, we'll focus on kind of that management. Curious as to your thoughts from shifting from one just kind of install team member to a leading those same individuals, because a lot of them are still here.
Yep.
All right, Michael. So let's go back to that day 4 years ago and talk about the project. What do you remember about the project that was like, wow, you know what, that was okay, different, cool. What can you remember about the project? That was your first project, and welcome to LA, Hollywood, Beverly Hills. I don't know, but what do you remember about it?
It's funny. The big thing I remember is the drive from here to Beverly Hills was an adventure. That's the first time I've witnessed traffic, the traffic like that. I mean, yeah, Buffalo's a much smaller city, but we still have traffic, but it's nothing compared to the traffic we hit driving in the morning to LA, Beverly Hills specifically. And then seeing the actual house that we're working on, I've never seen a house that big in my entire life. It was incredible. Getting the opportunity to work at a house like that was new to me. It was cool, dealing with a general contractor that oversees the entire project of that house and the renovations they were doing there. And being a part of that was really cool, especially for my first job. I wasn't expecting to be, thrust into a spot like that, but I embraced it, and I wanted to learn as much as I could, as quickly as I could there. It was worked with everybody in the install department. Was on that job for 2 months, so I got to know them pretty well, pretty quickly.
Well, if you're thinking about LA, traffic is not, but I also went through many states, and there's a lot of traffic. But one thing, always remember traffic. At one point, you're gonna stop listening to music. Music, it gets all up to while when you're driving. So the best part is enjoy that part of driving.
Yeah.
So you have to feel, I get a moment for myself, listen to something that is intriguing, I want to learn. Mm-hmm. Podcasts is one of them.
That was what we used to do.
A book, there's so much stuff you can listen to learn something. And so music, first thing is, after a while, it's used the same music, that doesn't change. So now you go, hey, you know what, this is a great time to enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Whatever they'll give you there, a phone call, talking to people, learning something. And once you start doing that, traffic seems like
it doesn't really.
It sounds like an enjoyable alone time. At least that's what I.
It's almost like a break. Yes. Honestly, yeah.
So just make sure you have a drink.
Yeah.
Make sure you have little snacks, and don't drink too much water, because it also becomes a challenge.
All of them prepare for it. You're gonna hit traffic. Just be ready for it and accept that that's what you're gonna be doing for the next 2 hours. Yeah.
Well, welcome to LA. That was anyways.
That was a big one for me.
Yeah. Okay, that was good. Basically, so that was a cool. So in a way, a cool moment, right?
Yeah.
This to that, like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's good. One of the things they highlight the most, going back to Sergio, when you interview him, do you remember one of the things that you say, man, I like this person that is gonna come to the team, and anything you can stand out you remember?
Yes. Obviously, what stood out is, why would somebody leave another state to come to California, right? That stood out to me. And normally, I knew the background because he shared part of the story of why he came out here. And for somebody to take that leap and actually kind of, hey, let's have an adventure here. And out of all places, California, LA, that stood out to me. And from there, I wanted to get to know him more as a person.
So LA, if obviously you listen over there, LA is the first thing is very diverse. It's everything available You can think about it. So it's a big, diverse.
Yeah.
So it could be overwhelmed, but it could be very intrigued because you can learn different cultures, different type of foods, different. It's just, so it could be overwhelmed, but it could be also very intrigued.
Yeah, I would say I love my first year here, learning and finding places I like to eat. Food.
Or food itself.
Some of the best Mexican. I mean, I've had to be the best Mexican food I've ever had. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. And I was and in the morning, seeing the mountains in the background driving, I always love that. I love nature and all that stuff. So seeing the San Gabriel mountain range, off the 405 or wherever we're driving that morning was always kind of brought me a little peace in the morning seeing that stuff.
Well, and one thing also about Mike loves to play golf. He's a pretty decent golfer, and I think that maybe that part is probably something to enjoy here playing golf.
That was a big for me thing. I could play golf all year round. That was a good selling point for me.
And then, spoiler alert, those adventures usually start by something real simple, guys. Don't be fooled. It's usually we follow a girl. But it's just, hey, it's okay. That's why it's not this grand mystery.
So we all do. That's why they do everything we do, right?
But not just that. For those people who are not in California, listening to the podcast on your drive, it wasn't just Beverly Hills, right? This was the dreaded city where the house was big enough where it was actually two cities. It was Bel Air and Beverly Hills. So anybody who's familiar with the 405, it's a very specific drive that hits that city. But one of the first opportunities where we had to make operational decisions and the management decision was one of the things at the time I worked with Lita said, hey, you already have a team who is willing to get up early. Why don't we do this? Have them get here an even hour earlier, avoid some of that early traffic, and then come back at an earlier time. Right. So that was kind of one of the first, hey, let me see how everybody really adapts to this operational managerial leadership decision, right? And as we started that, guys like, yeah, this makes sense, right? Why don't we get up earlier, get there at the crack of dawn? I think we met here around 4 o'clock, leave around at 5, and then come back. Usually work days from 7 to 5, right?
Yeah,
give or take. In this case, it was 5 to about 3:30. That way, we avoided some of the traffic going there and coming back. Yep. But sometimes we forget it's those simple managerial decisions, and that with the teams aware and is already coming in early. It worked out because I think the experience got more enjoyable. Of course, it's not everybody likes to get up with the crack of dawn. We had some guys who were a little further.
Sure.
But it worked out.
Yeah.
I think it worked out.
And it was a good choice to make at that time.
Yeah, I do remember less grumpy people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. So somewhere out there's a video that talks about the 80s, working on the 80s, what it was like it. I was working on the 80s. So back there was no cell phone, CB radio. You had to get out of the freeway just to make a phone call with traffic and getting out. Hey, can you call me? I mean, get up the freeway, look for a payphone and call. I come from that with traffic, right? So always think about traffic. It's kind of normal to an extent, but perspective it could change along the way. But going back to, working here at Power Pro, share one of those moments that you feel, that can stand out, that you learned something or that was cool to work, just share what has been working at Power Pro for you, all this about 4 years here.
Yeah. So like we mentioned, I moved from Buffalo pretty much on my own. So I really didn't know what to expect. I wasn't sure what were going to be like my comforts, my constant stuff that was going to keep me, going day by day. And I will say that once I found Power Pro, I guess technically found me, that became a pretty good constant thing for me daily, yearly, 4 years later. It was always a joy to come in and, everybody had a smile on their face, from managers to installers to technicians. Everyone seemed like they enjoyed being here. And that made me feel comfortable that I made the right decision. I'm picking, Power Pro and coming to work for you, Raul, Sergio, Carlos. So yeah, that was the big thing for me. I always like a good culture, a good work culture. I don't want to be feeling anxious when I come to work, feeling a ton of pressure. Obviously, there's always going to be pressure with services like we do. But the work culture was what sold me here.
So when we say welcome to the Power Pro family, can I say welcome to the Pro family? You felt that way?
Absolutely.
So that meet that expectation. Welcome to the Power Pro family. You felt at home.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Communication's always really strong between everybody here. If you have any concerns or problems, it's a pretty well laid out plan of who you need to speak with to help resolve those issues.
What is the biggest things you enjoy working at Power Pro?
The training. I think they set the training up really well. A good base plan. They have their processes in place, and Sergio leading the training seminars and everything really helped me grow as a person, as a employee, as a HVAC installer and manager. And I think that's pretty well rounded here, that everybody feels that way.
So here at Power Pro, we obviously train, we're big on mindset, to be positive, to be optimist, and to be that positive energy. And then with that, obviously, teaching the communication aspect of service, soft skills, how to serve and help somebody, having that smile, but so basically mindset, process, sales, communication. We get trained that in here. Every week we have training, a subject that we train in. Everybody gets trained in. I always tell people, man, if there's something, there's always people say, man, when they come and see the building, they always get shocked at the operation building we have. Wow. And then they say, oh man, you guys have a cool training room. And I say, well, hope you like training.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, okay, well, hope you do, because we do train a lot. And that training it's part of growing. We all need help. We all need to train something. And, I always told Michael something, I don't think you remember. One of the things is when you go into management, it's definitely, I always told people, when you go into management, it is different. Now you're working how to work with people, manage people, and understand people. And there's some challenge things in there. But I always think is when you start working with people, there's something that you have to view differently, because now you have to work with people, not just parts or equipment. Now people, working with people. And man, I love that journey when you start seeing it from a whole different lens and say, wow, I had to know how to inspire and motivate and encourage people to do things they want, but also things we need to accomplish. And that part is, I'm going to relate that to Carlos a little bit. Carlos, from being a general manager here, what is your takeaway from mindset when it comes to leadership?
That's a great question. Well, my personal experience is I wasn't always a general manager. I've been here with Powell for over 20 years, and a big part of that history is really starting at just about every position. I was a CSR, DSR, accounting manager. But the one thing that I do love and really kind of try to emphasize with the team is the willingness for us at Powerful to look inward for leadership. What does that mean is we prefer to build managers here. Now, the truth is sometimes we too are not susceptible to mistakes, right? We often think that the best installer is going to be the best manager, the best sales guy is going to be the best manager, and that is not always the case. It's not always the case that the seller, best installer will make the best manager, because we understand that the mindset from a leadership and managing position is very different, right? And it requires a lot of training, a lot of commitment. But what I am happy to say is that, even though Michael didn't start as a manager, he embraced the opportunity. And to me, the mindset of understanding, okay, my role might be shifting or will be shifting, and I need to really take advantage by attending all the training and really understanding what it is at PowerPoint. In this case, how do we move the 3 wins? How do we move the story, right? Our core values, how do I incorporate that into actions? And then more importantly, how do I make myself better so that I can make the team better? I think from the beginning, Michael embraced it, understood that there was work to be done, really dedicated to learning and what they say the office side, which is true. Most technicians
Like transfer a new skill.
yeah, right. Really. Transfer to the technical or the installing repair to the office side. But the office side also incorporate leadership, right? And I think Michael really embraced it. We send him, here at Power Pro, we're committed to not only doing in-house training, but we also partner up with best practices. And we send Michael to the install training, right? And it was kind of like a 3-day install training. What you think of that? Did we do a good job of kind of mimicking?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff that they taught me in that training, we preach it all here. From top to bottom, yeah.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, it's, if I can say anything about leadership and management, it's really an embracement of the want to make others better. At the end of the day, management and leadership is influence, but the influence is to improve others' ability as technicians, as managers themselves, as installers, as CSRs, and it's really a selfless act. You have to be real selfless because you realize the sole purpose that I am getting better or trying to be a better person, a better manager, a leader, is really to make others better in our commitment to service. We might not be serving the customers directly, but we're serving the team members who will in turn service the customers. And I want to say that I think it's been it's been a success story with Michael embracing that idea and understanding, and then being able to relay it to his team and influence him in a positive manner. So I appreciate that. The growth is evident, and I'm glad that we made that decision. It was a good one.
Yeah, I really enjoyed, taking what I learned and teaching the crew as well, and watching them grow and develop. I always like helping people out because I want them to, help me out if I need it. So I always like to pass whatever knowledge and experience I have off to, the newer guys and some of the other guys, and help them grow. And it gives me joy to see where the team has actually gotten to today.
So one of the things about Michael is, I would say great people, but also genuinely cares. And I think that genuinely care, that really is in you, right? You have that caring that really translate into you work, but also into the way you talk to people, Tell me something you learned in a Power Pro that you say, man, I'm happy that I taking this to the next journey, but also something I can use. Can you share a couple of things you learned at Power Pro that you probably say, man, I'm glad I did?
Yeah. So I think the big takeaway I have is when I did make that jump to the managerial side, and then viewing jobs and the install and technicians from a different side of the coin, basically.
Yeah.
So I've been a field worker my entire life.
Yeah.
So I always saw it, one way, taking over an office position and being in charge of, this job needs to be efficient, this crew, sending which crew to what job. It was, working on a computer. It's all pretty new to me, and that's going to be extremely beneficial for me in the future for any other jobs or career choices I want to make. So that was the big takeaway for me is learning the other side of it, learning how, an efficient company needs to be ran. So yeah, that was the big thing for me.
Well, obviously management is not what kind of almost, you have to inspire people to do what they want and what they have to do. So it's not what you say, is what they do.
Yeah. And
you have to inspire people to translate that into something they want to do that is efficient, but it also needs to be done. And sometimes it's easy to say it, but sometimes you have to tell people, hey, this when it needs to get done, best way to get it done. But communicating that is not always easy, especially when you have that general caring. Sometimes decisions has to be made, but also things needs to be told. And those are probably the hardest things sometimes, taking the emotion versus, there's a decision or there's an outcome we need to achieve, and always doing the right thing, but also make sure it gets done. And there's different styles, different ways, but it needs to get done and efficient, professional, and the right way. And, there's always different angles. You train, every week. And when it came to training, but also when it came to the process of Michael, what do you enjoy here at Power Pro training, knowing that somebody 4 years later will benefit, but also, what do you see from Michael, but also what do you see on the part of training that you do every day?
So I think Carlos touched up on this earlier before the podcast. Michael is a success story. Think about this. He was hired as an installer for HVAC. Okay, he works hard. Then from there, he gets asked to become a lead installer. Then from there, he's asked to become a manager of the same team that he was friends with. So now his mindset obviously has to change from lead installer to now being manager of friends that you have to manage, right? So if that's not a mindset switch and a success story, I don't know what is, right? So he had his mind in the right place every single time. And, it goes to show you that, when you focus on doing the right thing, which in our case in the trades is service, doing the right thing, servicing people, and then working hard, the sky's the limit.
So obviously we have a little saying here that I've been using that saying. There's multiple sayings that we be used for many years. And one is there's, good people is you, and nothing wrong with being good, but good is you. Great, it's others. Because when you're great, now you impact other people around you. You inspire other people to do things. So when it comes to management, it's definitely a great. You have to be great because now you have to impact and translate that to other people, whatever. So sometimes that's the difference, good and great. Being great is sometimes it's not about you, it's about them.
Yeah.
But you have to lead them in a way that they want to follow you. And it's a journey on the process that you have to learn. And being a manager, what can you share that, man, being a manager, it was cool and it was, I'm not saying if I want to put you on the spot, it was tough, but share some success stories that you can see the team growing, that you like it, and some challenge thing that could be, that came across that maybe you'd think it's okay to say it or not,
Yeah. So I guess one of my biggest success stories becoming a manager and even as an installer was changing the mindset of some of the guys. We had a couple guys that, being an installer, it is a hard job. It's tough and it beats you down mentally. It beats you down physically. But to me, I've been in the field since I was 14 years old. I did residential concrete for my uncle's company, and he was tough on me, and I'm thankful for that because it made me the hard worker that I am today. So what was cool for me was trying to instill that mentality into these guys and them believing in it and me being able to show them, how it works and that it will work, and watching them buy into it and, seeing where they're at today is a proud moment, honestly.
So is it fair to say being in the trenches with them?
Yeah.
Being on,
Yeah.
let me show you how it gets down, or let's do it together.
Yeah.
So of course that would probably be in you normally. So that means, hey, let's do it, let's show it, let's figure it out.
It was nice to see them trust me, after a little bit of time getting to know me, gaining their respect, and me gaining their respect, they're gaining my respect too.
Okay. So obviously, Michael, going back, we're definitely going to miss you here. You were a great asset to Power Pro for 4 years. We were happy to have you. You will be missed. A lot of people, we had today a full day of celebrating with the team. And there were some moments there that everybody was very grateful to have a person like Michael be able to being a team member, work with them and managing them along the way. And I think it was said today that everybody was happy to see that you were part of the team, and now they're sad that you're moving. But at the same time, we're happy for you as well.
I appreciate that.
And that to me, but let's go back. If you had to go back and say, I'm still going to put you on the spot. Is that all right? But the spot means, hey, if somebody's looking to wear a Power Pro, why would they want to work at Power Pro? What do you think Power Pro would be a good company to work for?
If you want to take your job seriously, you want to grow, you want to be successful, this place sets you up to succeed. It sets you up to be successful, whatever you want to be. Technician, installer, you want to be a CSR. The training here is great. It's pretty much unlimited. You can get any training you want. If you just want to be successful in the trade or the job field you want to come into, this is the place you want to come to. They take it seriously. You guys, like you said, in-house training, they send you to trainings, whatever resources they can use, they have it here for you.
So Michael's giving that testimony here. Thank you, by the way, Michael. But listen, you use that testimony in the moment you live in, which is kind of like, it's talking about genuine, has to be genuine, because 4 years later, we're asking, hey, can we do this podcast and celebrate the time you spent here at Power Pro, and at the same time say thank you for what you've done here, and at the same time happy to see you moving forward. So it's almost like a whole feelings there, right?
Yeah.
Welcome. How does that been? Happy, sad.
Yeah.
And you use that testimony on those moments, and that's what I call real testimonial, real advice, because that's come from celebrating, talking, sad and happy.
Yeah.
And talk about real moment. That's a real moment. That's what we're talking about. Can you speak from the heart and say, why would you want to work at Power Pro? And Power Pro has been on the server with over 25 years. I'm personally almost since 1987, so close to 40 years. We still care to serve, to help and develop people. When we say teach, help, and develop people, do you think we fell short on that, or you think it was fair to say?
No, not at all. I don't think you fell short.
Yeah.
I think it exceeded my expectations because I wasn't sure what I was stepping into. Obviously, it's good to hear that you guys care about training, but to see it actually follow through and be done was really encouraging. And that's why I always felt comfortable staying. I was never looking for anywhere else to go because I knew I'm not going to find anything better.
If you had to give an advice, somebody coming in, what would be the advice?
To listen, to observe everybody here. You can learn something from every single employee that works here. That would be my biggest advice, is just be observant, follow the processes that they want to implement or that are already implemented, because they are set up to make you succeed.
So if we doing a testimony and advice at the moment of goodbye 4 years after, to me, that's a real moment. That's the real moment where you say, thank you. I would like to hear from you, and we're happy for you. I don't know if it could be more real. I get the little here, this was just saying it. And that's what we're talking about. We love to teach and help and develop people, even in a moment we're celebrating, sad and happy and all those feelings. That's what I call a real moment. So thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all very much. I really do appreciate everything you guys have done for me.
So that'll be good. And, anything else you want to hear, Carlos?
No, I do want to thank Michael for his service. I've seen the growth personally. I think one of the big traits that I look for the managers when we start dealing with concerned customers, because let's be honest, the reality is we're a service company, and every once in a while we'll have situations where we're not perfect, but we try to continue to get closer. When a situation arises, I really push for managerial thought process. And, I always, when they come to me for an answer, I really work with it. I don't think I ever give an answer. I always ask, give me the story. What would you do? What do you think? And my goal is to make sure that we lead that leadership team to that mindset of, okay, here's our core values and here's what we're trying to do. And here's what I think a reasonable solution is. And oftentimes, I can see that construction in the mind of the thought process shift. And I think, Michael, when the times that, a few times you came to me, we've come up with good resolutions, right? And it wasn't always a straightforward, but it was always a resolution that really took in mind the team, the customer, and the company, which really are 3 wins. So I saw the growth. I want to congratulate you on that. And I think you set yourself up for success anywhere you go. And this case happens to be Buffalo. So they're lucky to have you back.
Have it back, yep.
Close statement here.
I'll close it with this. Transparency is important. Obviously, this would probably be looked at as an exit interview, but it is a podcast. We want to congratulate you and wish you the best of luck on your new future.
Yeah.
Whatever you decide to do. But I like to point out this, that we do focus on customer experience, but we never forget about our employees, because we invest in all our employees, and we always want to be better. And like I said from the beginning, I always want to know what we did good and what we need to work on. And I think throughout this podcast, we've actually talked about that. Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. So here, obviously, we call it 3 wins. So I think here there's more than 3 wins. I'll tell you what it is. Obviously, me personally being involved in the trades for almost 40 years, one of the things of Power Pro that I'm still proud to do that is that we bring people into the trades. We have a training facility here that we encourage people to get into the trades. I like that feeling of bringing somebody new into the trades, teach them the trade aspects of there is a career path on being a professional in the home services. So bring people to the trade is one thing, right? All right, an opportunity. And then from there, train them how to serve and help people, and so the customers benefit of that, And then so that way they see there's a benefit by creating value and service and based on what they need and want, and be able to communicate that with a smile, with the attitude to serve the customers benefit of that. Oh, yeah. And of course, the community benefit, because we always done a lot of things in the community. They will benefit because we care for that community too. We're here on the community and we want to serve the community in all different aspects. And now the community wins too. Yeah. But at the end of the day, everybody has to win. The employees, the customers, the community, and everybody, it should be that no different. Everybody has to win. So when you're talking about building a career, maybe Power Pro is come and see it. You see what training look like, what the trade look like. But guys, remember, we build careers. We just need the right mind, the right attitude. So you got the right attitude, the right mindset. We'll come and see it, because we'll build a career for you. So see you next time.